Well, Yvonne, I think China is being wary but attempting to sound quite positive. So the early engagement with the Taliban before they resumed power and since has all been about respect for the Taliban and a principle of non-interference but help. But behind that has been a very wary, anxious set of messages about the possibility of violence and extremism bleeding from Afghanistan into China. I think that's their prime concern.
But China says it has already spoken with the Taliban directly and has received assurances that the group will never allow any forces to use Afghan territory to do things that endanger China. Can Beijing trust the Taliban on that?
Well, I'm not sure they can, and I'm also not sure the Taliban can deliver. Afghanistan is awash with weaponry and awash with people trained in the use of those weapons. And the Taliban have been more cohesive pushing against the foreign occupiers than they ever can be now, trying to rule this fractured, damaged country. I think Beijing understands that. So I doubt they're putting a lot of weight on Taliban commitments.
How concerned exactly do you think Beijing is about the instability that you've talked about in Afghanistan spreading to regions such as Xinjiang, with which China shares a narrow border? What might be the concerns there?
Well, China has overstated the extremism in Xinjiang and used it as a pretext for their mass human rights abuses there. And they've been focused on the East Turkestan Islamic movement that is one of the actors in Afghanistan. They'll be looking for Taliban assistance in confronting them, which conflicts with the Taliban's own religious directions and relationships. So I think they are very concerned about that. And really, Beijing can't free ride on the American and NATO military. It's got a much more direct stake in Afghan security, and we'll see whether they step up to meet any kind of commitments. I doubt they will.
And Michael, to what extent has China officially recognised the Taliban as the new Afghan government, and how does this play into relations with other countries who so far have refused to?
I think they've made noises about recognising them. I'm not sure it's been formalised yet, but I'd expect they will be one of the first. They've kept their embassy open despite evacuating some of their nationals before the fall of the Afghan government. But really, there's a level of complicity in recognising the Taliban as the legitimate rulers. And we can expect, once the emergency evacuation of foreign nationals completes over the next couple of weeks, the level of violence that the Taliban use will increase markedly, and it won't be a time when other governments want to be seen to be their friend.
Going forward, if China continues its positive relations with the Taliban leading Afghanistan, in what areas do you see China cooperating with them in the future?
Well, I think it'll be a wary transactional engagement, and I think that will be true from the Taliban with Beijing and Beijing with the Taliban. I think that we'll see an interest in exploiting Afghanistan's mineral wealth, but really, back in 2019, an assessment said the reason Afghan's mineral wealth has stayed underground is because of poor security, a bad legal framework, and corruption. Well, all of that is going to get much worse under the Taliban if they can even control the whole state. So I think Beijing's goals are going to be mainly focused on a wary risk mitigation and quarantining of violence from spilling into China.
And how will China's Belt and Road Initiative be impacted with the Taliban taking over there?
In this same way, I think it will face those same obstacles of instability and violence, and it will be dependent on the extent to which the Taliban can deliver governance and security, which is a whole different challenge to running an insurgency. So I have low expectations for the glittering positive future between China and Afghanistan, and I think the net losers here will be the Afghan people.
How do you think the US withdrawal will impact Afghanistan's relations with other countries in the region, including China?
Well, I think it really makes Afghanistan no longer a US and NATO problem. It makes it an international and neighborhood problem. So Iran, Russia, China, Pakistan, and India really have much more direct interests there. And it's their time to turn from mainly being critics of the US and NATO presence and confronting the very direct humanitarian and security challenges there. And I really doubt that the combination of Pakistan, Russia, Iran, and China will do that in any effective, positive way.
Michael Shoebridge, thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.